All right, Nick, let's talk about some Alabama Crimson Tide football. When you think Alabama, you think a culture and history of winning. You think championships. You think uber talented players. And when we go through the recruiting cycle this past offseason, you think all of the best players in the country are coming to Alabama. Guys with the biggest, tallest guys. They're the strongest. They're the fastest. They have all of the physical abilities, all of the traits. These are some of the best athletes in the country. But sometimes, Nick, when you recruit players, there has to be more to it than their physical stats. There's an extra layer in recruiting that Alabama and Nick Saban specifically are looking for, and that is what we are going to talk about today.
Yeah, Miles, I think it's a very interesting story that you dug up that I think Crimson Tide fans would really appreciate it. But before we get into that, Alabama fans got a really interesting question for you to answer, as always, in the comment section below. Look, regular season isn't that far away. Football is nearly back. Now's the time for you to give your prediction for the Crimson Tide's 2023 season in terms of final record. Bring the receipts. Give us your thoughts on what you think Alabama's final record will be in the comment section below. Really curious what you think it'll be, because it's obviously, I know a lot of you guys, one loss, no loss. Maybe one of you guys think there's a two-loss squad. Whatever it is, give us your prediction for Alabama in the comments below. All right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest involving the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, Nick, we talked about it in the intro. Always, athletic ability isn't the big thing. Sometimes there's an extra layer to recruiting, especially when you're Alabama and you can get literally whoever you want to join your squad that comes into effect. And Nick Saban highlights that it is mindset. The mindset of certain players. He is looking for something in particular to help him build his squad, something that he thinks is very, very important. This is a piece over on The Athletic, is a very good read, so I would encourage you to go check it out. But let's get on into it and we can discuss it afterwards. Nick says, good players and good coaches alone aren't enough. There has to be a mindset in place that brings the best out of each part of the team. And that's been Alabama's top priority during the offseason. Saban elaborated on the process during SEC Media Days in late July. Talent alone isn't enough because whether players are battling through the SEC schedule or eventually making it to the NFL, there is talent everywhere. Without the proper mentality, the talent won't be maximized, nor will the competitive spirit necessary exist to maximize the player's goals, which at Alabama is to win a national championship. One thing that kind of goes with all of this is humility, Saban said. When you have humility, you will always think there's a better way. So you're always searching, you're always listening, you're always trying to learn. That creates great relationships on your team. And if you just think you're really, really good and you're better than everybody else, sometimes you don't take and develop those relationships with the same amount of gratitude. You don't have the same kind of team chemistry that goes with good players and coaches alike. Now, Nick, I think this was a very interesting piece showing a deep insight into the Alabama recruiting process, saying they don't necessarily want the guy that's going to come out here and say, I'm the best, I'm better than everybody else. You want the guy that is the best. You can see it on the from their play on the field, but you want the guy that's going to come in the meetings and say, I could work on this, I can work on that, I can learn from you, I can learn from this guy and that guy. I think that is really the key here. They want guys that have humbleness and humility and the ability to keep driving and keep learning. Because when you're at the top, it's hard to stay humble. But those who can, Nick, I think are really the true gems. And that's what Nick Saban was looking at. But what do you think about this? What do you think this means? Is this the secret sauce to Alabama's recruiting strategy?
Well, I think it's not just a secret sauce to Alabama's success. It's a secret sauce to Nick Saban's success, and frankly, anybody's. Like, I've gotten a lot of advice throughout my life, and I've read a lot about successful people, and they all seem to be more process oriented, not goals oriented. They're focused on getting better every single day, improving themselves as a person in their particular craft, not focused on a particular goal. Instead of just saying, "Hey, I want to win one championship," or "I want to be just a starter," they say, "I want to get better every day," and that's exactly what Nick Saban has done. That's what Bill Belichick, obviously a great coaching friend of Saban in the NFL, has done. They're focused on the process. And when you recognize that as Nick Saban, that's been extremely successful for you, he understands that finding players that are looking to adapt that mindset is going to make them incredibly successful. Because if you focus on just goal-oriented guys, you bring in guys that are focused just on goals, what ends up happening is if those guys meet those goals, they're going to be happy, they're going to be complacent, they're going to stop, and that's it. They're not going to work hard anymore. Or if they don't meet those goals, they're going to shut down, they're going to give up, they're going to transfer, they're going to do whatever. A great example of that, what's going on with Texas A&M over the past few years. They brought in a lot of top flight guys, a lot of five-star talents. They've rivaled and sometimes been ahead of Alabama's recruiting classes, but they haven't been the right mindset kind of guys. Jimbo Fisher over there at A&M hasn't brought in the guys or cultivated the right mindsets in his players, and that's why Texas A&M has had issues. Alabama, on the other hand, focuses on the mindset. They recruit those guys that looking for that mindset. If they don't have it, they make sure to beat it into them. And that's why they're so successful. Look, everybody has five-star athletes in the SEC. Everybody has a lot of four-star athletes in the SEC. The gap in talent in terms of overall recruiting between LSU and Alabama over the past decade and a half, between Auburn and Alabama over the past decade and a half, is not nearly as big as the big talking heads in the media would lead you to believe. The difference, though, is their mindset and their approach, and that comes from Nick Saban, and that's why they've been so successful. And I think the fact you're seeing Saban break out and understand and kind of explain that a little bit should shine some light on people that say, oh, Alabama, they win a lot just because they're just a superstar team. They have all the five-star recruits. Yeah, they recruit well, but they also recruit guys who have the right mindset, and that's why they're successful.